Okay, in yesterday's lesson we were looking at percentages and I introduced you to this symbol, the percentage symbol here. We looked at some fraction diagrams like this, and you can see that this square is split up into 100 equal squares, 100 equal little squares, and 42 of them were shaded. So we said that this was 42 hundredths, which is 42%. This was 6 hundredths, which is 6%. Now hopefully you can see here, year 5, that the number on top is what the percentage is. Okay, that 42 is exactly the same as the 42 that appears here. The 6 is what goes in front of the percentage sign. Okay, it's what goes in front of the percentage sign. But this is only the case. This is only the case if you have 100 on the bottom. It is only true if you've got 100 on the bottom that you can write this number on the numerator in front of the percentage sign. But what about other types of fractions? How do we write these fractions? So a fifth, 21 fiftieths, 7 tenths, 17 twentieths, 11 25ths. How do we write them as percentages? Can we? Well, that's what we're going to try and find out today. I want you to get your exercise book or your maths book out in front of you, and I want you to spend 1 minute trying to figure out the numbers in these boxes. You can pause the video and have a go at that, or you can just wait for me to resume in a couple of seconds. Okay, hopefully you've got the numbers as follows. 1 lot of what gives 100? Well, it's 1 lot of 100 gives 100. So 100 goes in that box. 2 lots of what go into make 100? Well, it's the same as saying 100 divided by 2. 50. 4 lots of what give 100? It's the same as 100 divided by 4, which is 25. 5 lots of what give 100? Well, it's the same question as 100 divided by 5, which is 20. 10 lots of what give 100? It's the same question as saying 100 divided by 10. What does that give you? It gives you 10. So you need to have made a note of these in your book. Hopefully you did it yourself just a moment ago. But if you didn't manage to do that, you need to write this down now, because this is going to be really helpful in your lesson today. So a moment ago I was saying to you, how do we write these fractions as percentages? We know that to write a number as a percentage, we need to have it as a fraction out of 100. But these fractions here are not out of 100, so how do we make them out of 100? Well, we do this. So here's an example. If we've got a fraction like this, 6 fiftieths, we need to find an equivalent fraction over 100. Well, what do we have to times 50 by to get 100? From your notes you've just made in your book, have a look, you will see it's 2. And whatever we do to the bottom, we must do to the top. So 6 times 2 is 12. And now that we've got a numerator and we've got a denominator of 100, I can now write that number as my percent. So 6 fiftieths is 12%. Have a look at what you wrote down a moment ago. How many 25s do I have in 100? I've got to multiply it by 4. Whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. 6 times 4, that is 24. Now that I've got a fraction over 100, I can put that number there in front of my percentage sign. Example number 3. Oops. Example number 3. How many 20s in 100? 5. Whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. 11 multiplied by 5 gives you 55. Now that I have an equivalent fraction over 100, I can put that number there, 55, in front of my percentage sign. Last example, this one. How many 10s make 100? 10. So whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. 4 multiplied by 10 is 40. So now that I've got my fraction over 100, I can put this numerator as my number next to the percentage sign. 40%. Okay, quick question. Teddy says to convert a fraction to a percentage, you just need to put a percent sign next to the numerator. What do you think? Is he right or is he wrong? Well, the answer to that question is it depends. Because if you have a fraction like this, 24 over 100, then you can just put a percent sign next to the numerator, because we've just seen that this would be 24%. But you can't do this if the denominator is not 100, because we've just seen that. I couldn't put that this is 4%. This is not 4%. This, as we've just seen, got me to 40 out of 100. Okay, the equivalent fraction was 40 out of 100, and 40 was the percentage. I can't put that this is 11%. It's not 11%. It's 55%. Why? Because, and you can watch the video back, we multiplied the top and bottom by 5. But why? Because I needed to get a fraction out of 100. Now that it's over 100, I can put the 55 as my percentage. Same with this one. It's not 6%, just because I've got a number of 6 on the top, it's not 6%. I have to make it equivalent to hundredths. So this is 24%. And again, this is not 6%, it's got to be over 100. So to get an equivalent fraction, and again, you can replay the video to see all these 4 examples, and that gives you 12%. So he says to convert a fraction to a percentage, you just need to put a percent sign next to the numerator. Well, only if you've already got your fraction over 100. Okay, your main classwork. Write these out and fill in the boxes. So that is your main classwork, to write those out and fill in the boxes. Once you've done that, if you've still got lesson time left and you want more of a challenge, have a go at this.